Hi friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. We are going to be talking about newborn essentials today, and not only that, but I'm going to bring you a few other nuggets here of some room setup essentials, as well as 5 things to not waste your money on for a newborn. Just don't do it. And also I'm going to talk about 4 kind of neutral things that I don't really have an opinion on in terms of you're probably going to have to make the decision yourself. You'll probably need it. Let's get into the essentials that you need when you're having a baby. I am going through the newborn season right now with my second boy. And so as a second-time mom, here are the things that I used both times versus the things that were kind of a waste both times. Okay, number 1 is muslin burp cloths. You are going to need these absolutely, some in every room. I literally just have one handy right here. These are all over our house. These, we got like a pack of these, and we also got a pack of these. So we have these everywhere. It may be helpful to create kind of stations for yourself in each room where you're gonna have your baby, because this is one of those things where you're constantly as a parent like, can I have a burp cloth? Can I have a burp cloth? Item number 2 is double zip onesies. So newborn babies live in onesies, and I'll get into other outfits in a second, but you're going to want onesies that zip from the top so that you can take it off all the way, and from the bottom so that you can easily change diapers. And so to have easy access without making them cold each time is really important, especially for nighttime changings. You don't want them to wake up with the cold air in their body. So if you're able to zip up from the bottom, that helps you change their diaper without fully waking them up. Number 3 is actually something that I've utilized way more for my second than I did for my first. I actually don't know if I used it at all for my first, but they are saline drops and misters. So I have little saline drops that are newborn safe for that newborn congestion. I just put one little drop in each nostril and it clears Lucas right up. And the mister was super helpful when he did catch a little bug and he ended up more congested during the day. I just held him in front of the mister, and I will link, it's this one that I ended up purchasing. I will link this down below as well. Super easy to use. Now this is for the first 2 weeks, and it is actually knotted sleep gowns. So when you have a like fresh little newborn, like first 2 weeks of a newborn, when they're so tiny, they're so bundled and in a little ball, and I feel like it's more comforting for them to kind of maintain the shape that they were in utero. So what I use for both my boys, and absolutely would use in the future if we have another, is these knotted sleep gowns. It doesn't really necessarily matter the brand, but really helps them stay all bundled up. And then after that, I would say around 4 weeks old, I transitioned Lucas into a Dreamland swaddle. It is their 0 to 6 month swaddle, and I'll actually put a picture of this right here. It's linked down below along with all of this stuff linked down below. And I do want to make a note that none of this is sponsored. I am a very small content creator, and so I have an unbiased opinion on all of these products. This is just what I personally used and found value in. The other thing that my newborns live in is the Snuggle Me pillow. However you use it, it is so helpful. It snuggles their whole little body from the top of their head all the way around, and I found it to be such a better transition from holding them in my arms to having them sleep on my chest to then putting them in this little snuggle cocoon in this pillow. Okay, now the next thing is actually a very specific brand of passy, and so I love these. Lucas definitely takes to them, and it's specifically these. I will link them down below. It's a little 4-pack I got from Amazon, and this shape in particular has been perfect for Lucas. I got like these different aesthetic looking sad beige baby ones for Henry, and he never took to them, and I just thought, oh, he's not a passy kid, because there was one with like 5 different shapes for me to experiment with, and he didn't like any of them really. He kind of like gnawed on them. He wouldn't actually like suck the passy, he would just like gnaw on it. And so I was like, oh, he's just not a passy kid. I think if I would have gotten these, he would have been a passy kid. Lucas has taken to these so well. These help him soothe so well. Okay, so the next thing is the Yoga Sleep sound machine. I use this sound machine religiously for both boys. I have them have their own. We actually have an extension cord for both of these because this is meant to be kind of like a portable sound machine. A lot of people just use it when they're on the go, attach it to their car seat, put it on their stroller, etc. But I actually bought this as the main sound machine for Henry. We used it for Henry, he loved it, and what was cool about that is we could then take it portably when we were outside of the house, in the car, on the go. It was the same sound that he goes to sleep with every single day because they all have slightly different like pitches to them, the different sound machines do. And so we bought the exact same one for Lucas, so both boys have their own little sound machines. Okay, then the next thing is a Haka breast pump. It is so helpful for maintaining that milk supply. I will say, I think that establishing my milk supply in the beginning is largely based and thanks to the Haka. And so as I would nurse him on one side, I would actually put the Haka on the other side, and it does catch letdown, but it also has a suction. And so the suction will actually have you produce even more as if your body is nursing 2 babies at once. It, I think, helped establish my milk supply. I had no problems nursing both boys or having my milk come in. It does, if you overuse it, cause an overproduction issue, so make sure that you do avoid overusing it, but it definitely helps so much with milk supply. Similar to that, I use the Spectra breast pump and love it. Had no issues fitting this to myself or using it whatsoever. It definitely helped me a lot. Now, I actually haven't used it this time around. I have not needed to use the breast pump, but with Henry I did all the time, especially as he got older and I started leaving him more. Thankfully, with Lucas, I haven't had to leave him, and the Haka has worked just fine for my supply for now. But I am sure that I will pump as he gets older, takes the bottle more, is away from me more, especially for work trips and things. And I love the Spectra. It's really good to be lightweight. It's pretty quiet compared to some of the other breast pumps I've seen. And it isn't the smallest, but it is effective. I think any other smaller ones, like sometimes the portable ones that you can like put in your bra, I feel like those don't work super well. I have tried them before, haven't worked well. I just haven't taken to them super well, but the Spectra one works so well for me. I've had no issues, so I will link the one down below that I have used in the past. All right, so let's get into the 3 room setup essentials. So this has to do with how you're setting up your room for baby, and I would say that there are 3 things that every mom should make sure is in her room before she has her baby join her. The first is actually going to be 2 dim night lights. So it actually kind of depends, because I think a lot of moms like will end up changing their baby maybe on the bed or near them. That's why they have like a little baby changing station. What we ended up doing is we've turned our dresser into our changing station. And so I have 2 very dim night lights. One is right on my nightstand so that I can scoop up little baby and nurse him in the bed. And then the other one is right by the changing table so that after I nurse him, I can bring him over, change him so that I can put him back in. And so it's really important to be able to have easy access to these dim night lights. I'm not going to necessarily recommend one over the other. I think that you can find great mini lights that could achieve this purpose for you. But just make sure that they're dim enough to where baby is not going to wake up significantly, and you're not going to wake up significantly every time you rise, so that you can both go back to sleep pretty easily when you are waking up. And if you're separating your stations, having them on the 2 different stations is really helpful, because then you don't have to turn up your first light super bright in order to see over at the changing table. Logistically, it'll just help yourself out so much. The second thing is blackout curtains, and this is mostly for morning sleep-ins. If you want your baby to sleep in past the sunrise, eyes, then a blackout sleep curtain is super helpful to get them to sleep in. Right now, Lucas sleeps in until about 7:45 every morning. He definitely wakes, so he has his like night wake up anywhere between like 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is when he'll wake up. And so then he goes back into sleep and he'll sleep until about 7:45, 8 every morning. And before we got blackout curtains in our bedroom, because we didn't have any in our bedroom, we had it in Henry's room. Before we had it in our bedroom, he was waking up an hour to an hour and a half earlier than that with the sun. So blackout curtains definitely help your baby sleep in if that's a priority for you. And then the last thing is either a rocker or a bouncy ball. We use both. We have a glider in our room and we have the pregnancy ball that I used during pregnancy in our room as well. And so he's usually fine with just the glider, but for the fussier days, we'll use the bouncy ball as well. Henry was addicted to the bouncy ball because we started him on it so early. With Lucas, we tried to hold off as long as we could, and I think we waited until like 4 weeks to even hop on the bouncy ball for his fussier time. So he's a little bit easier to soothe. But for Henry, we got on the bouncy ball right away because it worked so well, but then he became addicted to it and would not soothe unless he was bouncing on the ball. So there's a whole thing with that, but you want to make sure that whatever you're going to use to soothe your baby, whether it's a bouncy ball or whether it is a glider of some sort or a rocking chair, that you have that in your room at night so that you don't have to go walk around the house or go into the baby's nursery or whatnot. So you definitely want that in your room. Okay, so let's do some hot takes on 5 things that I think are a waste of money for a newborn. Now, the first thing is expensive sound machines. So this Hatch sound machine is super popular. Tons of people get it. I think that it had like an exploding issue at one point, I think that I saw. But we have only ever used these affordable yoga sleep sound machines that are supposed to be portable sound machines, and they work the exact same. They work just fine and they're not expensive. So I'd say the whole sound machine thing, there's no reason you need a super expensive sound machine. We only use literally the one setting, like we turn it on and then we leave. You don't necessarily need like bird chirping noises or like white waves crashing and all the different settings. I don't think that you need it. I think it's a waste of money, to be honest, because you really just need the one setting for a sound machine. Number 2, kind of a hot take, but it is black and white toys for the most part. There's this big thing where newborns, they're visually stimulated by contrast, and I feel like as a new mom, you just want to get like things for your baby and you want to get toys and stuff. And so there's the whole thing of like the newborn flashcards that are like a whole thing. But honestly, newborns, they're just stimulated by looking at you, by looking around their environment. We popped out the flashcards maybe once with each kid because they're stimulated enough by their environment. You will stare at a ceiling fan or a lamp, and that's stimulating enough. They don't really need the flashcards. So I would say like black and white visual stimulus stuff is just a little bit excessive. I don't think that you need to waste your money on any black and white toys. Another hot take is the elaborate tummy time stations that are sold. Now, babies hate tummy time, some more than others, but for the most part, they just don't like it. They're just grunting the whole time. They're like, please stop. Tummy time, don't get me wrong, is still important. It's how they build the strength to be able to hold up their neck. But a lot of it can be done and practiced on your chest itself. So we do tummy time, but we don't religiously do it every day. And you can literally just set out a blanket and put them on the blanket. So you don't need the elaborate fancy tummy time situation station. Okay, another hot take is essentially all grooming products for a newborn, like the lotions, the creams, the shampoos, all of that stuff, you, for the most part, really don't need to spend money on. You need one quality, non-toxic shampoo. That's pretty much it. So I will bathe little Lucas. I'll use his shampoo on both his head and his body. I don't use lotion on my little newborn. I feel like their skin is so sensitive, and there's kind of I'm gonna say it, there's kind of this trend of overwashing your newborn, if that makes sense. I think it just kind of goes down to like the influencer culture of like, what is your nightly routine with your baby? Oh, we give a nightly bath. Newborns do not need nightly baths because their skin is so fresh, it's so fragile, it has all these wonderful things from the womb on it. You do need to be washing your newborn. Yes, you need to give them baths, absolutely, but do you need to do it nightly? No. Do you need 5 different products and creams for your newborn? No. Okay, another hot take is any 2-piece outfit for a newborn is for the most part a waste of money. Now I will say, if you have an event going on where you're taking your baby, having a cute little outfit can be adorable. So it just depends on that. But when you're talking about having your baby at home, your baby will be living in onesies. That is the easiest thing because there's going to be spit ups happening, there's going to be blowouts happening, there's going to be lots of naps happening, and you just want them in something cozy where they can sleep easily and they can eat easily and you can change them easily. So that is going to be a onesie for the most part. Okay, now last I have 4 neutral things for you. These are 4 things you're just going to have to decide and make your own mind up on whether or not you need them. The first thing is bouncers. I do use a bouncer. Does Lucas love it? Not really. But do you need little stations pretty much in every room for a newborn? Yes. You're going to need a place to put your baby down or carry your baby, but it's kind of helpful to have stations to put your baby down in each room and a safe place to put your baby down in each room. So I have one bouncer and I have a little swing, and I use while I'm working here in my office. I have my bouncer right here next to me. So he goes in his little bouncer while I'm working and he hangs out there until he doesn't want to anymore. And then he has a swing that is right outside of the kitchen as well. So we kind of move around these stations and we put him in them. Number 2 is baby carriers. Now there's all kinds of different baby carriers and people find value with different styles and ones. I will say that the wrapped style where you kind of have it like around your belly, around, it looks very elaborate at first, but it's not super hard, I promise. Like around your belly, around your back, crisscrossed, that is super good. Like the fabricy one is super good for fresh newborns because they're able to be held really close to you. You can kind of position their head in a safe way next to your chest, and it keeps their like back supported because they're all like floppy in the beginning. And so those are super helpful at first. And then kind of the buckle-in ones, like I have one from Mom Cozy, super helpful. The buckle-in ones are really helpful for when you're like on the go, bringing your baby to like a restaurant or to the grocery store. Those are super helpful when you need something quick to get out of the car where you're just like buckle, go. So it kind of depends on how much of an expert you are with like the slingy, fabricy ones to bring that on the go. But how I use it is I use the gushy one, the stretchy one, sling one, for at-home use for newborns who are very young. And then once we start going out of the house, I use the more structured buckled style. And so this is kind of one of those things that I would say is neutral. You're going to have to explore how much you want a baby wear, what style you want a baby wear. You're kind of going to have to do this. Don't go too ham on it. You don't need the super expensive, like I would say experiment with these carriers. You can get them secondhand. You can get just cheaper versions of each one to see which style really sticks. And then if you really love one, then you can invest in a really pricey one. So the next thing that is very neutral is bassinets. A lot of moms don't use them. They'll either use a crib or they will co-sleep and will say, okay, you don't need the bassinet, baby hates the bassinet, etc., etc. Now I'm putting this in the neutral category because my babies love their bassinets and do sleep in their bassinets. And so for me, I would say a bassinet is an essential, but I know that so many moms disagree. So I'm putting this like in the neutral category. And then the final thing in the neutral category is just bottles. Again, you're gonna have to experiment which style of bottle works well for you. Bottles are a thing that is going to be kind of inevitable. Your baby will probably end up on a bottle at some point. And so right now though, Lucas has not taken bottles because he is just nursing right now, but we do need to kind of bottle train him. I have not experimented with the styles that maybe Lucas would like. I'm just going to assume that he's going to use the same ones that Henry really enjoyed. So I'm going to link the ones down below that we have used. All right, so that is it. Those are the newborn essentials and the stuff you probably shouldn't waste your money on. And I hope if you're watching this and you are a first-time mom, a new mom, or maybe, you know, second, third time mom trying to remember you know, what are the things that we need for a baby? Let's refresh all of this. I'm just so grateful that you watched this video today. Thank you so, so much from the bottom of my heart. If you liked it, please remember to give it a little thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel for content that might be similar to this in the future. I cannot wait to catch you on the next video. Bye, friends.